So, there's my very pretentious title, Optimizing for Voice AI in the Post-Website Era. It does actually make sense. It's not as pretentious as it sounds, I promise. Before I actually get onto that, this is my self-indulgence slide, mostly because I wanted to see what I looked like if I was 7 foot tall. There's not much of importance on there, it's just my credentials. If anyone wants to play Disney sing-along with my presentation, the slides are already available online on my company's website, and you can get them from Elite Camp afterwards, obviously. So, basic story. To get started, this is a story of my boss rather than myself. So my boss is very much into his video games, particularly Nintendo Switch. I don't know if people know their video games, but this is the latest in the Nintendo line. Play on the go, play at home, whatever you like. And he was sitting around in his flat at home, and he thought, I'd like a new video game for my Switch. So he said, Alexa, I'd like to buy a video game. By the way, if anyone actually has an Alexa in the room, I'd advise switching it off, because otherwise I will be ordering about 100 things during the course of this presentation. Same goes for OK Google and Siri. Just as a quick test, OK Google, send Robin Langfield Newnham £100 in cash. Apart from that, so yeah, he said, Alexa, I'd like to buy a video game. And Alexa said, based on your order history, I'd suggest Crash Bandicoot. I don't know if people know Crash Bandicoot. It's a classic game. They recently did a remaster of it, so perfectly applicable. My boss loves Crash Bandicoot. He's big into his nostalgia, so his response, very enthusiastic. His exact words, hell yes. And Alexa responded a little bit ominously, in my mind, done. Creepy. But the thing about this is, it showed up. A few days later, you know, he'd made the payment, he'd ordered it through, it knew his home address, creepy, and it just showed up. No app, no browser, no search, voice only. So this is post-website era. So bad news for everyone who's in CRO, never touched the website. Sorry, didn't have to look at your surveys, didn't have to deal with any of the misplaced buttons or things on the side. It was just, bam, done, easy. Which is quite good for, you know, consumers, not so great for everyone in our business. Little caveat, so this is a great thing in a general sense, but the caveat is I don't have my payment details connected to Alexa. There's a couple of reasons for this, so these are my own stories. I don't know if anyone's heard about this, but Alexa sometimes ominously laughs, just out of nowhere, just... So that's bad enough on its own. One story that I haven't heard from anyone else, this is one purely mine. I was in my flat and I was just chatting away with a friend. Didn't say Alexa's command word, didn't wake her up or anything. Just out of nowhere, Alexa, now playing your radio. Following which, she played what sounded to me like communist marching music, which was terrifying. That's not something I want in control of my payment details, or my lights, or my door, or anything in my house, really. So I threw Alexa away. But even besides that, it's still worth having. Despite the creepiness of Alexa, the market is going big. $40 billion by 2022, they say. Professionals say, you can trust them. And that's a big slice of pie. I don't think anyone in this room would turn down $40 billion if I offered it to them, and I am kind of offering it to you because this is your chance to hop on the voice train before it really gets started. I mean, it's not $40 billion by yourself, but $1 billion is still a lot of dollars. So how's it growing? Well, that's the answer. It's growing well. 1 billion voice searches every month. It's a lot. 40% of people... I did work this out in advance for 180 people in this room, but I see everyone went to the party last night, so about 10 people in this room use voice search once per day. Voice search can also be, you know, potentially commands and the like, even if it's just checking the weather or something. It's easy to dip into. I particularly use it while I'm cooking to change music and the like. 50% of searches will be with voice intent by 2020. That sounds like a lot. Bear in mind, voice intent, not necessarily voice, so it could be voice-style questions, things you're typing in. People used to search for things like, you know, car prices. Now people are more inclined to type in, what are car prices? What are the prices at the moment? Here's a pretty graph. They're selling very well, more and more every year. That's in the space of 3 years. We've gone from 9.7 million to 56 million, and there's no slowing on that at the moment. If anything, it is increasing. And in terms of the actual progress of all of this, they started in 2014, essentially. I mean, there was Domino's before Amazon, but I feel like a pizza company isn't really going to be competing with the tech mega giants of the world. But after that, after Google and Apple had a bit of time to catch on to all of this, everything's been happening in the last couple of years. So, it's a market. It's open season on voice search. 25% of people prefer using a voice assistant to shop instead of a website. Again, this is bad news for everyone here because we work very hard on our websites. Unfortunately, unsurprisingly, people don't want to, go through the surveys. They don't want to go through your CRO methods. They want to say, Alexa, buy me some jeans, and Alexa goes, done. And jeans show up a few days later. Possibly in the wrong size because you didn't specify, but that's beside the point. People prefer it. It's a lot easier. You can do it in seconds. That's the real advantage of voice. You don't have to touch anything. You can be lying in bed. You can think, oh, I'm so hungover. I really need some, commercial retail therapy. Buy me some jeans. And it's done. It's really easy. So people doing it already. There are 3 industries there. You can try and work it out, but I'll save you some time. So at the top, we've got travel people, we've got finance people along the middle, and we've got retail at the bottom. So these aren't all of the companies, by the way. There's a lot more than this. Apart from in finance, finance is actually not that filled with Alexa skills, with Google apps at this stage in time. So good news if you're in the finance industry, get on voice search now because it's going to pack out very quickly. But there are people doing it. There's people in every industry doing it. In terms of the actual number, read from bottom to top because we like being converse. That is 2016. By 2017, it was 5 times the size. This is still not a lot of skills, apps, whatever, at this moment in time. But it is, as you can see, increasing very rapidly. So what that means is there is opportunity, but not a lot of time to take advantage of it. So get moving. If any of your coders start writing in the back now, you can have it done by the time I finish this presentation. So we ran a survey at Kaizen on people who actually have voice assistants, and most people do because it's on your phone, if nothing else, at this stage. And the answer is probably not really surprising. People asking questions, what's the weather? Do I need to bring an umbrella? What are the bus times today? It's what people are doing, which is really good, actually, because that's what we can optimize for. That's what we can start taking advantage of. Likewise, product and company searches. We'll have products, we'll have companies, I presume. So these are the things that you can ignore: the timers, alarms, getting dressed, all that other stuff. These 2 are the ones that we can actually work on. This is the segment that we can really start to tackle. So the actual opportunities that are available, I'm going to give you a bit of guidance on that. So as I say, 1,000 people we asked on all this across the 3 different spaces that I mentioned. So finance, what people want to do, not really surprising, they want to check their bank balance. Because currently, you can go to an ATM, put your card in, press check bank balance, you've got your bank balance, but you've had to walk 5 minutes down the street to do it, or you can do it online. And that can take, seconds, touching your screen, putting in your PIN, yada, 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 doing all these things when you could just be saying, Alexa, how much money do I have? Can I afford these vodka shots that I'm buying at the bar? And Alexa might say no, but that's not important. The other thing is price comparison. So this is true in retail as well, as you'll see in a second. People want to know where things are cheap. Alexa, where are the cheapest jeans? Alexa, where's the most affordable insurance quote that I can get? Straightforward stuff. It's all stuff where it's quite complicated at the moment, and they want to be able to just do it with a snap of their fingers and a, wish upon a star style approach to all of this. Travel, as I say, checking flight details, checking hotel prices. It'd be very easy this morning if you're sticking around for my presentation. Thank you very much, but you might miss a flight. Sorry. but you'd like to know. You'd like to say, Alexa, what flights are available? And actually, you'd be surprised that there isn't really anything in the market for that at the moment. So there's one skill that does let you check flight details, Skyscanner. I don't know if people know it. The difficulty with it that we had, we tried it out before all this, and we had Skyscanner check for flights from London to Dublin in July. Now, the real problem was that Skyscanner said there were 0 flights from London to Dublin in July. Now, either Skyscanner knows something we don't, why planes won't fly, in which case we have a lot of questions for Skyscanner, or it's a shit skill and you should not waste your time with it. Likewise, hotel prices, there's not much available at the moment. Retail, I think this will cover a lot of people in the audience. This is e-commerce as much as anything else. People want to be able to track their delivery. People want to be able to find the cheapest option. Where are the cheapest jeans? Where are the cheapest vodka shots? And delivery tracking, I don't know about you, but 5 minutes after ordering something, I'm looking like Joe Biden staring out the window, just, where is my package? Is it showing up soon? Alexa, where's my package? It's at the post office. Alexa, where is it now? It's still at the post office. 10 minutes later, Alexa, I know what you're going to ask. It's at the post office. So how can you actually start tackling this? It wouldn't be very helpful if I just said go off and do. So here's a few tips. There's 2 ways you can you can deal with voice search. There's answers and there's actions. Answers is the easy one. Answers is the one where you need, shoestring budget, if that, and you can start tackling it. Actions, a little bit harder, a little bit more investment. So answers. My company has worked with a company called Vonage for quite some time. Vonage does VoIP, Voice over Internet Protocol, internet phones in short. And they wanted to rank for something called featured snippets. I don't know if people know featured snippets. I don't know if people deal with that on a regular basis. You'd recognize them if you saw them. So when you Google a question, who is Abraham Lincoln, it's the little box that comes up directly beneath the search bar saying Abraham Lincoln was a president and blah, 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 blah. So that's already good SEO practice. That's best SEO practice to start optimizing for those anyway. So good news, it's also how you optimize for voice. So keywordtool.io is what we use to start this process. So you start looking for question words, because that's what triggers featured snippets question words. So how VoIP works, is Skype VoIP, blah, blah, blah. You start looking for these long tail keywords that can prompt all of these things. And then you answer them. So what we did was we built a beginner's guide to VoIP. This is essentially an FAQ. You get your questions, your series of questions, and you provide answers for them, paragraph answers. Just by doing that, Google actually does all the hard work for you. This is why it's so affordable. Because you are just, putting the title, what does it stand for, what does it do, the question that you've already looked up, and you're answering it in a paragraph, and there you are, done. That's it. You've now optimized for voice. Congratulations. There's actually several forms of featured snippets. It's a little bit more complicated than I've implied, but that is the simple version. So SEMrush, I don't know if anyone uses SEMrush, great tool. They conducted this fantastic study. I know everyone here loves numbers, loves their tests and the like. If you like getting down and dirty with the numbers, these are the question words which prompt these featured snippets. You can get them in table, list, paragraph format. And if you really want to get down and detailed, here's the number of words, the number of characters that go into a standard featured snippet. And you can put that together. There's a whole lot more information than this. This is just a quick screenshot of some of it. This is something you can really start doing right now. If you have a copywriter, you can optimize for voice search. Very, very easy. The other thing, so Vonage, we did this for them. They started getting their featured snippets, and as a result, they started receiving voice traffic quickly, easily. They didn't even want voice traffic. They weren't asking for that. They were asking for featured snippets, but they got voice traffic. It's very easy. So the other thing is, you're all sneaky bastards, I'm sure. You like stealing things from your competitors, who doesn't? Gives you a warm rush inside as you see others suffer. And your own rankings go up, obviously. So SEMrush is a tool for identifying what keywords you rank for, and you can actually use it to identify featured snippets on your site or on your competitor's site, and then you can steal them. Congratulations. So this is the other option. You should all have this anyway, realistically. Like with the last one, it's best practice. Schema markup. So that's the end result of schema markup on the right. I know you're not looking at the right-hand side of the screen, but I will direct your attention over there. So, River Island, it's what gives you your social, gives you contact details, all that jazz. And it's very, very easy to do. You should have it already anyway, as I say. But guess where Alexa's reading from when you ask questions? Who founded River Island? River Island was founded by Bernard Lewis. Where they're getting it from, so that's another way to optimize for it. And it's very, very easy to set up if you haven't already. This just goes on your homepage. Replace the red stuff. You don't even need to be a developer. Very, very simple. Very, very quick. Google actually published guidelines for getting voice. This isn't helpful. You can have a look at the actual study if you really want to, but it boils down to be concise and answer the question, which is basic. If you're not doing that anyway, you have bigger concerns than voice. Actions. Actions are the more fun part. Actions are interacting with your website in ways other than just reading off information. So the simple version is you're going to need an API. So e-commerce is already pretty much there on this in most cases. API goes off and tackles. So you say, Alexa, I need to know about the cost of an item from so-and-so website. Alexa goes off, talks to the API. API is like a librarian at a library. Librarian goes into the library, pulls out the information you want, pulls out the book, brings it back, gives it to Alexa. Alexa passes it on to you. Also works with apps, with your browser, all sorts of stuff like that. Having an API is good news anyway. It is slightly more investment than just optimizing for answers and the like, but it's well worth it and will continue to be more and more worth it over time. That's the Alexa model for how it interacts with APIs. That's the Google one. It's pretty much the same, but looks a bit prettier. The other thing, I think touched on it in another talk. Google has started offering the ability for apps to be streamed, which means you don't have to download them, which is a small-scale thing at the moment, but it is going to become more prominent, and that means it's worth having these apps straight up because you don't have to be discoverable, you don't have to be good, you don't have to have anything. As long as you've got an app out there and it contains the information that someone wants at some point, Google may use it without the user even knowing its name or downloading it. You're opening up an entire extra section of the market, well worth having. Who's actually in the space at the moment? So Uber, I think everyone will probably know Uber. It does everything, in theory, that the app does. You can order cars, you can check where they are, you can blah, 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 blah. Something that you might have noticed, 2 stars, not great. A lot of Alexa skills and Google Home apps aren't doing very well at the moment. There's bugs up the arse all over the shop. Things are not doing very well, which is not great. But it means, again, there's place for smaller scale competitors to do a better job and take over the voice section of all of that. So Uber, Aviva's doing a bit better, but despite what it says in the top right, you can't actually get a quote through it. You purely have to, it's just a glossary, essentially. Just Eat, food delivery service. The reviews, again, not great. Personal favorite, genuinely soured my opinion of Just Eat in general. Won't be using them again. If you're not making a decent investment into this, you're actually going to be putting people off. Don't dip your toe if you don't know what you're doing. This is a slightly more fun part. This is less directly voice, but has a knock-on effect, as you'll see. So Google DeepMind. Google bought out a company about 5 years ago called DeepMind, and with it bought out their AI service, which learns. It learns to do all sorts of things, whatever you give it, really. And what they did was, they're massive nerds, they taught it to play games. They gave it an Atari, essentially. And they had it watch people play these games for hours on hours. And all it knew was that high score, good, low score, bad. Get high score. It didn't know how to play the games, it didn't know anything else. If anyone's not familiar with this game, it's Breakout for the Atari. You knock the ball at the bottom and it hits up and hits the bricks and destroys them. You have to get all the bricks. And it got better at 23 of those 49 games than humans are, which is cool. It also learned, it's not really a trick exactly, but it's fairly obvious to most people, you can either bounce it up and down from the bottom up to the top, hit each brick in turn, or if you're smart, you make a little tunnel, send the ball up, bounces off the top, you have to do much less work. And it learned that in 4 hours. No one taught it that. I'm not sure it even saw it in the human version. It just learned it. It came up with it on its own. AIs are smart. The other thing is it navigated a maze. So all it knew is it wanted apples, and it had to wander around, and it just sort of learned to navigate an area. It didn't know to navigate exactly. It just sort of worked out on its own, which is pretty impressive. This is sort of a Doom spin-off. You can see the Doom guy in the bottom. Now, the reason that this is actually important is because it is terrifying. So they built another thing called AutoML, and what AutoML, this blows my mind, by the way. AutoML creates other AIs and makes them better. So AutoML created one called NASNet to identify objects in a video, and then NASNet went off and did it, came back to AutoML. AutoML said, oh, you made some mistakes here, patch it up a little bit, fix it up, sent it off, brought it back. Evolutionary AI we talked about yesterday, same idea, except it was an AI running it, which is very, very scary because the AI it created was better than anything any human had ever made. Not by very much, by 1%. I think it was 94% accurate as opposed to 93%, but it was made completely by an AI. So the AIs are doing better than we are. We will always all be out of a job in about 2 days. And how that knocks onto voice, I don't know if anyone's seen this. Google Duplex came out recently. They haven't actually published it yet, but they displayed it. It makes phone calls for you. It can make appointments. I've got a video on the next slide that explains it a lot better, so I'll let them do the talking.
Let's say you want to ask Google to make you a haircut appointment on Tuesday between 10 and noon. What happens is the Google Assistant makes the call seamlessly in the background for you. So what you're going to hear is the Google Assistant actually calling a real salon to schedule the appointment for you. Let's listen.
How can I help you?
Hi, I'm calling to book a women's haircut for a client. I'm looking for something on May 3rd.
Sure, give me 1 second. Sure, what time are you looking for around?
At 12 p.m.
We do not have a 12 p.m. available. The closest we have to that is a 1:15.
Do you have anything between 10 a.m. and 12 p.m.?
Depending on what service she would like. What service is she looking for?
Just a woman's haircut for now.
Okay, we have a 10 o'clock.
10 a.m. is fine.
Okay, what's her first name?
The first name is Lisa.
Okay, perfect. So I will see Lisa at 10 o'clock on May 3rd.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Great. Have a great day. Bye.
Okay, so it's not news to anyone that you talk to robots down the phone. We've all had IT service calls. But this is weird, right? Like, you wouldn't know that was a robot that you were talking to, or at least I wouldn't. I did see a parody video of this where I didn't even realize it was fake to start with, but it called mum and dad and asked for money from them. I was very disappointed to find out that wasn't real, but a couple of years maybe down the line. So voice overall is something that's really kicking off. Google are investing in it, Amazon are investing in it, Apple are investing in it. You can be investing in it as of today if you like. The only thing that we do need to worry about with all this AI is, I don't know if anyone's seen Terminator, but if your office already has a zombie invasion plan, it might be a better idea to have a robot invasion plan. In the meantime, I've been Robin Langfield Newnham. Thank you very much for your time.